How's it going, everybody? My name is Cam White, and welcome to episode, I believe this is 8 of the Delineation. Don't have my intro music today. Thank you to the patrons that support this and make this possible. I didn't have the time to make the graphic today because the topic that we're going to talk about today is a juggernaut of an issue that is not only insanely embedded into the astrology world and our philosophies that we apply astrology with, but just in society in general. I have made a gigantic list of talking points that I'm going to do my best to be able to go over today. I don't know if I can even cover everything I want to cover on this topic today alone, but I am truly going to try my best. And for those that have been watching me for a long time, listening to me for a long time, sometimes I can get a little scatterbrained and, a little ADHD. So just be patient with me. I'm going to really try my best to reel it all in today. But there are so many there's so many things about this topic that just, it goes in so many different directions. But today we're going to talk about finding your purpose in astrology, or I should say finding your purpose with astrology. This is a huge topic. Half of my clients, I think most people will go into astrology thinking, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do in this world? And, I want to cover this topic in a way that's never been covered before, because I think a lot of people take a very traditional and a safe route of talking about this. And I'm a contrarian by nature, so I'm just not going to do that, right? And I have talked about this probably in an episode or two. So there's going to be things that I repeat myself with. So again, if you're annoyed by that, I'm sorry. And generally with these podcast episodes, I make a list of the things I want to talk about, but I have like a gigantic list of this. So if you see me kind of distracted, I really want to hit all of these points home because this is a really big topic. A lot of people just do so many things around the idea of purpose. So again, a lot of astrologers get this question, and it literally is half of our job, in my opinion, is just telling people, a lot of people are like, what do I do for work? And I want to do this, and I want to do that. What is that supposed to mean? What am I supposed to do? And it's intense. It's a lot to handle. And there are a ton of techniques, of ways in astrology that you could find out what your purpose is, quote unquote. We're going to say quote unquote a lot today, purpose. And in my opinion, a lot of them are dumb. You can look at your 10th house. You can look at 11th from fortune. You can look at your spirit. You can look at 6th house. And as an astrologer, you have to decipher which one of those things actually matter. I've had clients where, one, they've got their 10th house ruler describes their career versus it's like their 6th house ruler describes it versus it's like their whole chart describes it. And the big thing that I have to preface this whole talk with, this isn't even a podcast. This is kind of a lazy TED talk that I'm going to be giving today, is what most people refer to when it comes to purpose is this messed up version of what their career will be and how they will survive and make money. And they attach those things to their identity. And today, I want to detangle identity, career, purpose, work, and money. We live in 2021. It ain't as easy as just getting a job, right? So, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. I know you guys know him. Me even talking about Mike Rowe is going to be controversial because I think he's like a Republican. He's a Republican, and I just know on Twitter, like I saw the other day, people are just like they act like he's a neo-Nazi. He's not that bad of a guy. Sure, you might have things that you disagree with him, but just for the sake of the moment, I want you to listen to what he has here. I was talking to my sister about a lot of these topics a couple weeks ago because this is when I actually wrote down all of these notes. And this popped up in my YouTube feed and I decided to watch it. And I'm going to play the video for you guys. But just to kind of preface it so you know what's going on, I'm pretty sure this is an interview with some type of pastor because I think Mike Rowe is really Christian. And I watched this video and he just says it so clear and so well that I really can't repeat it. I want to play it for you guys so you guys can so we can kind of continue on with this. But let me pull this up real quick. Just listen to this and hear me out. It's going to take a few minutes, but I want you to hear what he has to say about jobs and stuff like that.
That your happiness depends on what you do, not who you are. And we've given them a roadmap that takes them right off a cliff. And we've encouraged them, for their trouble, to borrow more money than they'll ever be able to pay back. Money, by the way, that we can't even afford to lend them, to train them for jobs that don't exist anymore. What happens when you take the art out of a thing, right? We took the arts out of high school, the humanities, and there was a great hue and cry, right? When we cut music programs and things like that. And that affected me, and I was one of the ones complaining about it. But before shop class was shop class, it was called VOTech. And before vocational technology was called VOTech, it was called the vocational arts. That's what you've done here. You've taken the talismans of work and you've made an artistic expression of them. We didn't just take shop class out of high school one day because we thought we ran out of money. We first took the art out of the vocational arts.
Wow.
And then we knocked it down to VOTech. And then we changed VOTech into shop. And then we walked it behind the barn and shot it. That's how we got shop class out of high school. We started with a war, not on work, but on craftsmanship and on art. So anytime you see somebody challenging the artistry of this, you know, the scales of, I mean, there's art in every single thing in here. You either see it or you don't. There's risk in every single activity you ever
will perform in here.
You either see it or you don't. And so your earlier question had to do with what has changed since my pop built the church I grew up in, by the way. What's changed is the chronology of things we value. Work
Really
has
important.
fallen far, far down the list. Art has fallen down the list. Safety has gone to the top. Comfort has gone to the top. And the road we take in pursuit of what we'll call job satisfaction, right? That's changed. That's what's changed. This is a great, I don't know how much time we have left, but.
Unpack it.
All right, let me try and land the plane like this. There was a time when people who were happy in their work didn't start their quest for happiness by trying to identify the proximate cause of their bliss. In other words, what we tell kids today is if you want to be happy in your work, the first thing you do is you sit down and you think about what you want to do. And then once you settle on it, you embark upon a grand plan of action. Now, many times that plan involves borrowing money that you don't have. And then you go to school in order to get all the necessary credentialing that'll get you to the next step. And on you go. And now suddenly you're 27 years old and you're on your path to get the job that will make you happy. But you're just running into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And now you've got $120,000 in debt. And as it turns out, no, you're not going to be a political scientist with a major in Mideastern studies. As it turns out, now you're serving coffee in a Starbucks.
I literally know
There's
5
anything
people
wrong
like
with
that.
but that's not what you signed on for. And you're living in your mom's basement again, and you're not happy, right? You're not happy because you started with this very specific goal. The people on dirty jobs, Matt, by and large, I'm generalizing, but by and large, none of them are doing the thing that they identified in their youth as their wish fulfillment. These are people who looked around and said, where's everybody going? I'll go the other way. Where's the opportunity? Septic tank cleaner in Wisconsin. Les Swanson was his name, terrific guy. Les Swanson from Wisconsin. He was a guidance counselor for like 20 years, and a psychiatrist, a psychologist. He quit it all, started a septic tank business, not because he wanted to do that, but because that's what needed to be done. He figured out how to get good at it, and then he figured out how to love it. That's what's changed. We've told a whole generation of kids that your happiness depends on what you do, not who you are. And we've given them a roadmap that takes them right off a cliff. And we've encouraged them, for their trouble, to borrow more money than they'll ever be able to pay back. Money, by the way, that we can't even afford to lend them, to train them for jobs that don't exist anymore.
There's literally so much I could break down about that. But why I brought that up is he hits, and this is really the whole driving point of this episode, is we conflate our identity and our work with our happiness. And that was not how thousands of years of history has been. You know, we're literally told, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are your dreams? You know, do that and hang everything on your life on your ability to live a dream that you probably can't even make. And without going into that, because there's a bunch of points I really want to make, why I'm bringing this up is in this day and age, what used to work doesn't anymore. Labor is not what it used to be. It doesn't have the leverage it used to have. In my opinion, if we're going to try to strive towards a sustainable future, I'm a big sustainability person, and we have a more autonomized, automatic world. Our idea of our work, our idea of what a career is, our idea of labor, our idea of money and purpose and identity needs to be completely re-examined, especially when robots take over all the jobs, right? And where I'm at today is we have to separate identity and career. They are inseparable. Detaching the two is important, though, for understanding that your work doesn't identify who you are and that you are more than what your title is or what you wear in the world, right? That's the most important part to understand. First thing, and I'm going to bring this to the astrology perspective. You are a human first. The first house is first. You are the person. Your identity, your career doesn't always match who you are as a person, right? But we have to separate career, identity, and income, because how you make money, and this is, I know a lot of my Gen Z millennials will be like, well, Cameron, no, it's not like that. How you make money is different than your job. Talk to some people in there who are retired, where I get retired clients a lot of the time, where now that they're not working every single day, and they've attached their whole identity and their whole life to their career. Now they're not working anymore. They have existential crisis of who they even are. That's what happened to my dad. I know so many retired people that do this. So yes, it is really important to disconnect the money that you make, especially for the retired people who are, or living off Social Security, right? Your money and your income is not who you are as a person. And it also doesn't reflect your work. What I want to bring, and I'm going to come back to this point a lot today, is your 10th house is different from your second house, and your second house is different from your 6th house, and your 6th house is different from your 10th house. And it is important that these topics are separated in astrology, right? People do that already. But people still want to attach their income to what they want their legacy to be. Meaning, for example, if you want to be an author, and if you want your legacy is to be an author, well, usually you're going to say, well, I want to make income from that too. And that's that you can do that. And that's how it should be, right? But that idea of I'm just going to be an author and, make money from it and that's it is not sustainable in this day and age. One thing the main point I want to drive here is you don't have to be a starving artist to be an artist. Let me say that again. You don't have, if you love to write, you love to be an author, you don't have to be doing it to survive just to do it. You don't have to be a starving artist to be an artist. And we have been lied. You have been lied to by the media, by your parents, by corporations mostly. College is a scam. I hate to say it, and a lot of people will disagree with me, but unless you're going to school for a doctor, and there's a lot of opinions even on that, it really is a scam. You don't have to be a starving artist to be an artist. Now, here's where I take a lot of, and my biggest thing is I'm not trying to tell you, oh, this is exactly what you should do and how you should do it. I want to give you guys options with how to look at your life and how to look at your purpose in this world so that you can look at your chart differently and not just think one thing of it or just only look at it as one way and not so, two-dimensional as, what is my career? What is my purpose? Like, I honestly hate that question, because look, you can pressure yourself to take the risk of jumping into a completely different field to try to survive. If you've been watching my videos, I talk a lot about Cal Newport. Cal Newport's truly one of my favorite authors, and he has a book, which I've recommended a lot, but I'm going to say it again for people that don't know. There's a book that he has called So Good That They Can't Ignore You. And he pretty much talks about, instead of, he uses an example as this girl, and this is the perfect example because I know a lot of people who are into astrology think exactly like this. This girl, I forgot what she did, but she had a career doing something, and then essentially she got inspired to be a yoga teacher. And so she literally quit everything she had, took out like $100,000 investment for her business to start a yoga studio that she had no experience doing, and she failed miserably. And like, look, you can take... you're talking to all fire and air person. I take risks all the time. I get high off that shit. But if you want to take that jump and take that risk into a completely different field because that's what you think your purpose is, and then try to survive that way, like, you are going to make your life much more difficult and harder than it really needs to be. If you've got 20 years in coding, but then all of a sudden you want to be a painter, and then you're going to start a whole business being a painter, and then you got to pay your bills that way, you're not going to enjoy painting. You're not. You're going to enjoy coding more because coding means you're going to be able to pay your fucking bills. You're going to be able to have food on your table. You're going to be able to have time for your friends and family. And then you'll actually be able to express yourself with your art. But I'm not done here. We have a lot to talk about today. And while I'm going to share a lot of my own personal experience with this, and so while the end goal, what I'm trying to say is the end goal is, let's say you want to be an artist, right? If your end goal is you want to be an artist that makes tons of money and has tons of success from your art, that is the main goal, right? That's how you get there. But that's not where you start. You don't start off that area. You don't start off just going into art full time and then, just winging it, blindly going into it, thinking it's all going to be, roses and daisies. While that is your end goal and you should focus on that, if you want to be an artist and you want to make money through it, and that's, part of the reason why people want to do art, that's the end goal, but that's not how you're going to start. And if you're going to start that way, expect your life. And here's the thing. If you want to take a jump and just do, for example, if you just want to be an artist and try to make money that way, do it. But your life's going to be, you're going to be miserable for a while. And maybe if you're young like me, I did a lot of risky things. Like when I was 19 or 20, when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't do shit. I didn't make anything from this for a long time. I'm just now at the point where I can do this full time, right? If you're young and you've got nothing to lose, do it. But most of my clients are in their 30s and they have a lot to actually lose, and they don't want to put themselves in risky situations as much as they can. They like the safety and they like the security and they like the stability, right? Who doesn't? So let's separate the midheaven. Let's separate the 10th house from the 6th house from the 2nd house. I'm going to do my best to dissect each one of these individually. One of the reasons I want to separate these is because when you attach your worth to the outcomes of your work or your art becomes less enjoyable. There's a saying, I'm going to probably botch this, but it's the saying goes, if you want to make someone hate what they love, pay them for it. When you attach, I want to repeat myself there. When you attach your worth to the outcomes of your work, you are going to be met with disappointment. And I'm going to be honest with you, some people can handle that. Some people can handle the disappointment, but I know a lot of people who are in this astrology world deal with depression. They deal with anxiety. So you don't want to set yourself up to literally have to deal with a mental battle just to survive every day. Make your art your art. Do your legacy work to leave a legacy, not to make money, not just for right now at first, right? The first step, the 2nd house, the first step is to make money and survive. I think as a, look, I made a tweet a while ago that really a lot of people think I'm not working class. I've worked more jobs than you, and I've done everything under the sun. From dog bathing, being a pizza chef. I worked on a farm. I used to bale hay. I used to do retail. I've done sales. I've DJ'd weddings. I'm an astrologer. I've done, restaurants. I've done, I was a car washer. I did a lot of lawn and garden services for all my neighbors when I was a kid. I've done it all. And I'm going to speak from both the perspective of a working person and as someone who's also an entrepreneur who has taken leaps to do something different. First step is to make your money and survive. The only reason I was able to do astrology full time is because I was blessed with the job of DJing weddings. I had a much more a lot of you guys don't know how much failure I've faced in my life. And I want to just say, when I was 20, I was already doing astrology. And I'd moved to Vegas to become a full-time astrologer. I paid $2,000 to get a license to do astrology in this godforsaken city, that's a whole nother conversation. You have to have a license to be an astrologer here in Vegas, but that's besides the point. And I moved here. I was going to do it full-time, and I failed miserably. I was poor. I still have, in fact, I went through my files the other day, and I still have my, what is it called when you're about to get kicked out of your house, when they put the little notice on your door? I still have mine from when I almost got kicked out of my apartment because I couldn't afford my rent. And I moved, and the reason I stopped doing that, I moved back to Denver was because in Denver, this was back in 2018, I moved back to Denver because I could at least make my money. I can at least pay my bills. And I loved doing astrology, but the mental torment of not being successful at it, not making money, putting all of my chips in it and failing it's shitty. I'm speaking from experience here. Like, don't do it. But I moved to Denver, and I thank God every day I did that. It was probably one of the smartest decisions I ever made, even though it felt like I was defeated. I felt like I gave up, even though I didn't stop doing astrology. But why I did that was because I had a job there. And at least DJing weddings, I was, and of course this is going to look different for everyone, but for me, what was important was that, it was part-time, but it was just enough that I could pay my bills, and I wasn't so busy that I couldn't do readings. Once I was able to get out of a little bit of debt and I was able to make money, that made my astrology better because I wasn't doing it to survive anymore. First step, again, is to make money. You need to do what you got to do. I don't care if you want to be a musician. I don't care if you want to be an artist. I don't care if you want to be an underwater basket weaver. If it's not going to make you money, and we live in a capitalistic society, whether you agree with that or not, the whole capitalism thing is a whole nother question, a whole nother conversation. But as much as you hate capitalism, as much as you want to put all your problems on it, you live in it. Figure it out. You need to make the money first if you want to survive. And also, too, this is, and this is the thing that I so relate to people with this is capitalism sucks, and I might have my different opinions on that, but this is a harsh fucking world. It is not easy to make, this is the first time in my life where I've been able to if I have an emergency, I can pay for that. For all of my adult life, it was literally one thing after another was some stupid expense where then I'd have to take out a payday loan and get, a 2,000% interest rate. I'd have to go and donate my fucking blood, my plasma, to make $40 so I can eat for the day, right? Make your money first, because that is going to put food on your table and that is going to get your bills paid. And when those topics are covered, mentally, you're doing 1,000 times better than most people. Now, my second thing is, and this is a little bit, not necessarily off topic, it's on the same part, but if you want to live your purpose, if you've got a dream that you want to live, if you've got something you want to do, get financially literate right now. This is I'm going to assume we got about 10 more years of free online information. There are so many amazing YouTubers, especially on YouTube, that can teach you basic financial literacy. Get financially literate. I don't care how poor you grew up. I don't care how rich you grew up. I don't care how much insecurity and fear it gave you. Figure it out. You're a big boy or a big girl or a big they, them. Figure it out. Grow up, learn about your money. It's going to be scary, and maybe you hate capitalism and you hate the whole system. I do too. I'm literally in the middle of a lawsuit with Wells Fargo because of how much they fucked me and my family over. I hate the system too. But in order to defeat your enemy, you got to know them. So get financially literate. Ask yourself, where do you use and spend your money? because, as it's super easy to stay poor when you're literally billions of dollars of research and development goes into how a 30-second commercial can influence your purchasing decisions. Your brain is not more powerful than $20 billion of research and development. They know how to trick your brain, and they know how to trick you into consumerism. That's why, as a small tangent, like I kind of stopped using shampoo, and I've really stopped washing my hair. My hair's literally gotten healthier and better since I did that. It's just like, most things are a scam in a capitalist society. That's where I do agree with a lot of the anti-capitalist people. Most of the shit's a scam. But where do you spend your money? Educate yourself on this stuff. Budget. Track your expenses. Literally, what I used to do is I used to smoke cigarettes every day and eat fast food every day. And it was just like, I felt like I had to do those things. And it wasn't until I printed out my bank statement, went over everything, and realized, holy fuck, do I waste money? And like, I'm tired of surviving day to day. I'm tired of having existential dread about my finances. And I hated it enough to actually look at my expenses, which I was really nervous to do. I never wanted to look at the money I spent because I was terrified of it. But that knowledge is power. That knowledge is power if you know how to use it right. And you have to learn this shit now if you actually want freedom and control in your life. I might be an astrologer. I might be an entrepreneur. Why I do this stuff is I like empowering people. I love seeing people take control of their lives because there's not a lot of opportunities to do that, and you got to take it while you can. If you want some type of form and control of your life, if you want some type of power in your life, educate yourself on this shit. It is, because guess what? One day you're going to die. One day you're going to be 60 years old, and Social Security is going to be gone because our government fucked us. And I'm speaking because a lot of the boomer, because again, I have a very wide range of audience here, so I'm trying to hit everyone here. My generation, millennials and Gen Z, we're not going to have the privilege of Social Security. That's going to go away. We're not going to have that. We don't have the money for that. So a lot of people are just banking on things just being easy and just banking, they're not even thinking about it. You need to learn it now because guess what? The system is not going to be there for you. When has the system ever been there for you? Maybe with trying really hard and, after a long time, they give you a little bit, but like, don't rely on it because in my case, I get enough clients and I have enough world life experience to know that it's not a reliable system. Get educated on this shit like right now. And that means too, I know people that, they learn about this and then they find like, I don't know anything about trading stocks. I don't know anything about like, I'm financially literate enough to be dangerous. But there's people that will learn this stuff and then they'll find a way to make their money make money for them. And they don't even have to worry about bills anymore because their money makes their own money for that, right? And here's the thing. Taking care of your money, taking care of your finances, that can look like anything. It could look like a day job and just working a minimum wage part-time job at Starbucks just to have some cash in hand. It could be stocks. It could be a hobby. It could be teaching or whatever. But the next part I really want to talk about this too is, and again, this is where we're going to start taking a lot of different alternative routes with this conversation. And this is where I also, as someone who has done a lot of work in their lives, I've been working since I was 12. I kind of had no fucking choice when your parents are farmers. And this is probably something that people don't get to hear a lot, but you have got to learn to love the work. You got to learn to love it. What's his face? Mike Rowe just said that. You've got to learn to love the work and love what you do. And that's not easy to do, but you got to be, and again, it's all about gratitude. It's all about, you got a job. It's really frustrating online where I see so many Americans complain about the basic shit. And like, I consider myself a very worldly person. I'm very into world history. I know a lot more than I think people might judge me for, or judge me to think I know. But the fact that, sure, you might have a shitty job, and of course the system here sucks. I'm not saying that America's this, wonderful la la land where everything's a dreamscape, but compared to the rest of the world, it is. There's a reason why. I met a guy here in Vegas one time. This was before I moved here, but I was working here at the time, and it was Thanksgiving. I was working retail, and a coworker of mine invited me over for Thanksgiving dinner. She was an older lady, and I was waiting for her to get off, and I was sitting in this parking lot, and a man was working on his car. And I decided to go up and see if he needed any help. He didn't speak a lick of English. And but this was right when Google Translate got invented. This was like 2014. So I just whipped out my phone and we started having a whole conversation. And, this guy traveled with his wife and kids and a donkey on foot from, I think, Ecuador all the way up to America for a job. And it literally blows my mind away when I hear the Gen Z kids like, I want to get out of this country. I want to move somewhere. I'm like, why do you think people will literally sacrifice their families, their homeland, everything they've ever known, and then walk 2,000-3,000 miles to get here? There's a fucking reason why we have the biggest all the immigrants want to come here. There is a fucking reason, because there's not a lot of better places to go, where you can also be an immigrant and still get a lot of the same freedoms that actual Americans get. Like, if, again, a lot of people are like, I'm going to move to Europe or I'm going to move to New Zealand. Okay, if you want to move to New Zealand, you do know that you don't get Social Security there, or like you can't start your own business because they have clauses about that stuff. Like, you don't have the same rights over there. So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But like, there's always someone going through worse for you. And my suggestion is get realistic. It is worse out there, and you've got to be grateful for what you have. Not to say that you can't complain about it. You're allowed to complain about everything, but I also think that you should challenge yourself to love the work that you do, because you got a job. I know a lot of people out there that can't work because maybe they're disabled, or maybe they get discriminated against, or maybe because they have to take care of something else, right? Be grateful you've got that work. Be grateful you got the job you do. And it's literally insane how ungrateful this society has become, because it can go like that. I'm a big history nerd, and that's why it blows my mind what people say, because it's like, this is all held together very loosely, and it can all go to shit in 5 seconds. And Americans are obsessed with the apocalypse, so like they're kind of wanting it. Anyway, I'm saying love the work that you do. And that's not to say, oh, I love my retail job, so that means I have to do this forever. No. Enjoy it where you can, because guess what? You gotta fucking live. You gotta make it okay to do that while you're doing it. You know what I mean? Because if you're just going to go to work every day and be like, I hate my job, I hate this, I hate that, well, then you're just going to be bringing that negativity to everyone. And then you are literally worsening other people. Like, it's not about you. It's about the people around you. If you're going to be in a piss mood and you're going to bring everyone down with you, and then you're a taker. You are literally taking away from people for selfish reasons. Be a giver. Actually, let's say you work in retail. I worked in retail for too many years. And why not? Why I could be a grumpy asshole, or I can maybe be a little bit positive, and then my coworkers might be a little bit more positive. And at least when we go to work, we don't have to suffer together, and we can at least enjoy what we can. Anyway, I can go on that rant forever. Next fucking topic. But why I wanted to bring this up is, and this is going to really trigger some people on a weird way, because learning to love what you do is like learning to love a partner, or like learning to even love a pet. You're not, and I'm not married. I don't have a lot of relationship experience, but I've DJ'd a lot of weddings, and I've heard what a lot of people have said at their most intimate moments with people. And I've talked with a lot of couples, and my married clients will get this, who have been married for years. Like, you have to learn to love your partner. You might love them, but you're also going to hate them in a lot of ways. And you're going to have to learn what loving them looks like. You're going to have to learn to love the process. You're going to have to learn to love. You got to love the work. That's just it. Same thing with the pet. I don't have a pet right now, which is the first time in my life I've never had some type of animal. But not every animal is perfect. And you got to learn to love that animal for what that animal is. And here's the thing. You're not just going to meet, for example, a lot of people think getting married is going to solve their problems. You're not just going to get married and everything's going to be great and amazing. Like, it's going to take growth. You're going to have to humble yourself. You're going to have to get real with yourself real fucking quick. And you've got to learn to love that situation. Because here's the thing. If you don't love what you're doing right now, let's say, for example, like, I don't know how many times this story has to be repeated in the news, but how many artists have you heard? Like Lorde, for example. I literally was, taking my morning dump, reading, everyone's talking shit about the Lorde album. I was like, I thought everyone loved Lorde. And I had to Google, why does no one like the new Lorde album? And, the whole time she's talking about why, she hates she doesn't want to live in LA. She wants to do all this other stuff. I don't know enough about it to talk about it, but like, if you're not going to love what you do right now, you're not going to love your purpose. You're not going to love your career. You're not going to love what you actually want to do. Because how many of your favorite artists stopped making music because they hated it? They hated the industry. They hated the scene. They hated their deal. They hated their contracts. If you can't love what you're doing right now, you're going to live your purpose one day and you're going to hate it even more. So you better figure it out now while it's shitty. So then when you actually live your dreams and you're actually having the time of your life, you can enjoy it because you have the tools. You've been through the work. You've done the things you've had to do to love what you do. Because guess what? If you think working retail sucks, try being an artist where everything you do is judged under a microscope and you have thousands, if not millions of people criticizing your every move. And yeah, it's going to be even easier to hate your job at that time. It's going to be even easier to hate yourself doing that stuff. Same thing when it's, like I said, when it's your own business and you're investing your emotions in that. Like if you don't like your job right now, if you don't love what you do right now, you're not going to love living your dream. I'm telling you right now. And if I'm wrong, prove it. Prove me wrong. Because I tell you, talk to everyone who's actually living their dream. They've had to force themselves to love the work that they do. Because guess what? Even as, you guys look at these popular singers, you don't see the mental taxation it takes to make music, compose music, have the courage to put it out in the world and then deal with thousands of people, millions of people yelling at you, telling you you're wrong, telling you you're shitty, telling you this, telling you that. Figure it out now while it's easy. Loving a 40-hour week job is really much more easier than having to enjoy doing everything on your own. Anyway, be grateful for the work. Next topic, living your destiny. Living your truth, in my opinion, looks like, what your soul wants. And now that we have covered the make money thing and you got to do what you got to do to survive, right? And you should love that process. You should enjoy that process. And I'm not, you are talking to an entrepreneur, fuck your day job, right? You should be super focused on how to get out of that shit, how to change your life, because as someone who has sure, I'm not making millions of dollars, but I have a lot more control over my, over my schedule, over my life. And that freedom is truly worth every price I've paid. I'm not kidding when I say that. There's some months I'm doing great. There's some months I'm not doing great. I don't always, have the money for everything I have, but I do have that freedom, and that the sacrifice I've made were truly worth it. And I can't, I can only say so much about that. You guys gotta experience it for yourself. But I want to talk about transitioning to actually living that purpose and that truth and your legacy. Like, what does that look like, right? Because again, you're going to have your day-to-day job. And let's say you're going to do your day-to-day job, do what you got to do to make money so that you can do your art, so that you can do what you actually love to do, so that you can focus time on that and build that up. And really the idea here is build up, let's say if you're an artist, build up your art career on one side, still make your money on the other side. And then at one point they're going to mesh together where maybe you take less time at work, you take less hours at work, and then you maybe start taking more clients on your other thing. And then one day they're going to cross together. There is an intersection of which you will go, it is worth my time to stop doing my job and to actually start doing what I actually want to do, because now I'm actually more successful at that. We're going to come back to that. And again, I'm probably going to cycle back to some of these points too, so just be patient with me here. But I want to show you a video from, some of you guys may have heard of Lex Friedman. He's like some podcaster guy. I really don't even know his whole background story. He just always pops up on my YouTube. But he has an interview with Tim Dillon. And as you guys know, I'm a big Tim Dillon fanboy, unfortunately. But truly, again, this is why I brought up Mike Rowe. For one, I just showed you guys a conservative talking to a Christian pastor. If you know me, I'm not about that, right? I'm truly about but what he said actually mattered. What he said had a lot of truth. And the whole reason I brought that up too is because look, a lot of you guys think that, for example, what's her face in that story, being a yoga instructor is going to be the best thing ever. that's not sometimes true. Like, again, you got to ask yourself, do you want to live your dreams or do you want to be happy? And sometimes that looks like just getting a fucking job that pays your bills, like welders. I have so many friends that are welders and they make bank. Sure, they're not on movies and taking cruises, but they make good ass money and they can buy the things that they want. And they work hard for that shit. They earn that shit. And you know what? That when you love your work and you actually put the work in, like, that means something versus just getting it handed to you, right? And for some people, you might think I have this dream and this is how I want it to be. You may not want that. And maybe for you, what happiness looks like is having a stable, consistent job that pays you. And again, also too, there's like a shortage of all of these handyman trades that a lot of people, in my opinion, should just learn. Like I'm literally thinking about taking an electrician's class just so I fucking know how this shit works, not because I need the job, but you have so many options besides going to college for some stupid degree that you're never going to get a job in. Most of the people I know that have been to college do not work in their degrees at all. I know maybe 3 people. That says a lot because most of my friends went to college. Anyway, the micro thing. Sometimes happiness just looks like being able to pay your bills and have that security. And that is good enough. And again, that's separating. And when the big thing I want to talk about here is, if I haven't said this yet, make your money. Let's do the second house stuff. Take care of your money. What does that look like? Sometimes that looks like your 6th house. And the thing is, there's a few people that live this way. The way that you make money is sometimes different from what the work that you actually do versus what your title is. Like, for example, I'm an astrologer. Let's say, for example, that's my 10th house topic. But my 6th house of the work and the labor that goes unseen, not only am I an astrologer, I'm a consulting astrologer, I'm a YouTuber, so I've had to learn, YouTubers will understand, you got to learn cinematography, you've got to learn tech, you've got to learn computers, you've got to learn so many things I've had to learn and I've had to do just to provide this content to you guys. You literally have no idea what I have had to learn. And you're talking to someone who's like literally told that they were stupid their whole life. So I've had to overcome every little thing that was told of me that that I can't do this, I can't do that. I've had to figure it out for myself. And and it was a lot of work that no one's ever going to see, that I can't even extrapolate into value, because it's the work that I had to do in order to have that legacy, to have that title. If you are an artist and everyone just thinks, oh, you're an artist, you're good at drawing. They don't see the hours of labor you've put into your craft. They don't see the hours of studying that you've put into your craft. And this is why I try to separate the 6th house from the 10th house, because how you're viewed by the public and what your legacy is, and I've said this before, you're not in control of your legacy. You're not in control of your purpose. Your purpose might just be to inspire someone else. It may not even be about you, because guess what? Life isn't about you. It really isn't. It's about how you can affect others and how, because again, we see this in astrology all the time. I had a client who I was looking at her 7th house and it had nothing to do with her, but man, her partner was going through all of this stuff. And it just happens all the time where, again, your chart's not always about you. Your life isn't always about you. Your purpose isn't about you. You don't get to decide what your purpose is. That's not your choice. That's not your opinion to have. You can decide what you want your legacy to be and try to get in that area. You can decide what the things that you want to put out into this world, but your purpose, you don't get to make that choice. What was, I can't think of an example off the top of my head at the moment, but your purpose is going to look different for every interaction that you have with people, right? For example, my dad, I'm just his kid. So my purpose could have filled something completely different in his life versus as a YouTuber, as an astrologer, I feel a completely different purpose for you guys. So again, let go of the idea of what is my purpose? What is my meaning? You don't get to make that choice. It's not your business. It really isn't. But what you can do though is ask, what are you good at? You can ask, what do you love to put out? And this is why I'm staging all this, because what Tim Dillon says right here, literally, it gave me goosebumps when I first heard it, because it was what I needed to hear. Because, when you run your own show, when you do your own thing, a lot of people, I have a lot of entrepreneurs that are clients. Like, you guys get it. This is not easy stuff to do. It is super easy to get discouraged. Like, I got literally yelled at by thousands of people on Twitter the other day, and outcasted by a lot of my friends of mine. It ain't easy taking all of that on. It is not easy. So I need a lot of the inspiration too. So let me shut up and actually play this clip.
Unfortunately, sadly, a lot of people that look up to you.
That is a horrible thing.
Me?
But life is a nightmare.
Yeah. If you were to give them advice, young folks, people in college, maybe even high school, but people in their 20s, about what to do with their life, whether it's career, whether it's just life in general, what would you say?
Ignore everyone.
Yes.
Make a few good friends. Truly have honest conversations with yourself about when do you feel the most alive? Figure that out. When and how do you feel the most alive?
Yeah.
Figure that out. Try to figure out a job or a career that can replicate that feeling. Don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to the gurus on the internet.
Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anyone. Figure out, where you feel the most alive. Where do you feel excited? Where does your pulse quicken? What do you feel matters? When you're in a situation, do you feel like it matters? What situation was that? What got you excited? What thing did you walk into where you looked around and were taken back and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm filled with awe. If you can figure out a life where you can excite yourself, you might not use drugs or alcohol or a sex addiction or gambling or irresponsibility. You might not have to get your fucking kicks in very destructive places if you can get them in a productive place.
We got to.
That right there, guys. What makes you feel high? Truly, you're talking to someone, my whole family's full of addicts, and a lot of my family's, legacy, so to say, is like chasing those highs, whether that was through gambling, whether that was through booze, whether that was through drugs. And I've had to deal with the same things. I was addicted to cigarettes for half my life. I started smoking cigarettes when I was 12 years old, smoking a pack a day, for 12 years. It wasn't until, this past year I've really stopped. But you've got to do what makes you feel high. It's guttural. What I think about? For me, this is music, and I want to share, of course I'm sharing a lot about me today, but that's all I can share. I can only share with you guys my experience. I can't tell you what works for other people. I can't tell you. That's their business. I can only tell you what works for me and my experience, and that's why you guys are listening, right? If you don't like what I have to say, then, listen to someone else. But I'm also, I think, one of the rare people that'll actually keep it real with you guys. For me, what makes me, what's in my gut that makes me, that literally gives me goosebumps, that I get nervous about, for me is, space and music. Truly, as a kid, and this is something I try to talk about a lot when it comes to advice, is ask yourself, what was it as a kid that you wanted to be? Do that. For me, I wanted to be an astronaut and a rock star. And, I've kind of given up on the going to space thing, because it's just, my opinions about space travel have drastically changed, but I am doing the space in a way. I get to talk about the stars and the meaning of life for a living. It's truly such a blessing to be able to do that and be able to live, part of my childhood dream through this. And I'm grateful every day for that. And I would never be able to fathom being able to do this for a living. And I'm truly blessed every single day. But my inner child wants to be on stage. When I think about, and I want you guys to, do this exercise with yourselves. For me, what gets me high is thinking about walking out onto a stage with thousands of people screaming. Not even as my name. I don't even give a fuck about screaming my name. That's weird. But going on stage to thousands of people and partying, jumping up and down, singing my music, and having other people feel the same way. That's what, when I visualize myself walking, and maybe I'll never do this. Maybe if I'm lucky enough, I'll be able to live my dreams. And hold me accountable. I'm really, trust me, I'm going to be putting out some music. I don't really want to talk about it, but this is something I'm going to do my best. And maybe it doesn't happen, but this is what motivates me to do it. Thinking about going on stage to thousands of people screaming and then being able to perform, being able to engage, being able to have fun. That's what makes me high. I wouldn't need drugs I don't want to say if that was the case. You don't need drugs, period. But who needs drugs when you've got a high like that? Who needs drugs? Who needs any type of stimulation when you are doing the thing and getting paid for the thing that makes you feel that way? Who needs outside distractions when the thing that you love to do is the thing that literally gets you off? For me, I have to do this. I have to make music. I have to do the space stuff because this is in my head. This is as close as maybe one day I can go to space. Trust me. If someone said, Cameron, do you want to go to space? I ain't gonna say no. I'm definitely gonna go. But it's not really my big focus. But again, the big reason I've taken a lot of leaps of faith in my life was because when I was working these jobs and I was so miserable, and I had to enjoy it in the moment because it paid my bills. Like I said, you got to do what makes you got to do what you got to do. That's the number one thing. You got to take care of your bases. But I have to do this because, and this is going to sound a little weird for some people, but when we're talking about astrology, I'm talking to an audience that I don't get to express this with truly a lot of people. But when we're talking about astrology, we're talking about your destiny. And we're talking about fate. And a lot of people will disagree and say, oh, you have free will. When you get into this traditional stuff and you do this for a living and you just see how it plays out, yeah, there's trust me, there's free will involved, but a lot of this stuff is fate. A lot of this stuff is destiny. And a lot of you are going to disagree with me. A lot of you are going to agree with me. I'm just telling you, I literally get paid to look at people's charts for a living. There's a lot of fatalistic stuff that is out of your control. And again, I made an episode about this. A lot of astrology is just me confirming your intuition. You know your destiny. You know your fate. You feel it in your gut. You've known it since you were a kid. It's just about remembering those feelings. It's about remembering who you are. And it's about remembering what you love. And that's the thing. Me as a musician, me not putting out my music, me not doing that is taking away from the world. You not living your destiny, you not living your purpose is you taking away from other people. That's not fair to other people for you to be so selfish to think that you're not good enough, to be so selfish to think that you don't matter. That's selfish thinking. Fuck you for thinking that way. You actually have a purpose. And that purpose is whatever your soul is, whatever that inner child has to say. And when you're not doing that, you're taking away from other people because that's what you're supposed to be giving to other people is your genuine, authentic self. I could sit here. I have a podcast for a living. I could sit here and just give you the jargon and lie to you, or I can sit here and be real because this energy I'm giving you right now, this is the real me. You know what I mean? And I've got to live this. For some people, they don't like that. But from other people, and the reason I'm so comfortable doing this is I've had enough people literally yell at me before to say this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I do it. Yeah, it's hard. I still deal with, issues all the time, but you not living your purpose is literally taking away from other people. And are you a giver or are you a taker? You giving is you putting out what does your soul want? What does that inner child want? Do that. Find that feeling where you can. It's for me, like I said, I had dreams of going to space. I wanted to be an astronaut. Shit didn't work out that way, but look, I get to talk about space for a living. That's close enough for me, truly. You know what I mean? I have to do this though. I have two options, and you guys probably think the same thing, and this is why I'm saying it. I have two options. I could either go out on a limb and do what I got to do, or I can choose to not live my dreams and die an angry, bitter old man. Just like a lot of your parents are, or a lot of you guys are already in that stage. You're already dying in a bitter way because you told yourself no. And the thing is, the sad part is you didn't even tell yourself no. Society told you no. Your parents told you no. Your friends told you no. And you listened to them over yourself. And this is why I'm a big believer of free thinking and thinking for yourself. Fuck your friends. Fuck your family. Fuck society. Listen to your fucking self. Because guess what? You might have 13 kids and 20 brothers and sisters. You're going to die alone. My cousin, during the pandemic, I had a cousin pass away in a really kind of tragic way. And as a family, we all visited him at the hospital, outside the hospital. And I can't believe I get emotional over this. He was very young. He was had a beautiful family. And I got to go to his wedding. Seeing people at the happiest that they've ever been. And then he got in a motorcycle accident, and in the hospital, because it was COVID, his wife and kids couldn't even, say goodbye to him. And just to me, that is the worst, the most sufferable way to leave this world is dying alone. I can't believe I'm getting so emotional over this. Please excuse me. But you're going to die alone. And you got to ask yourself, did you live for everyone else, or did you live a life for you? That's what I tell myself. That's what I have to get up every single day to tell myself to fucking do this job. Because it's either I listen to society, I listen to the world to say, oh no, just get a fucking, play it safe. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't live your actual fucking dreams because that's too scary. That's too risky. You can't do that. But I know when I die, I'm going to regret not doing anything that, I don't want to die with that regret, truly. And there's risks. There's risks and reward with everything. There's a reward for playing it safe in your life. And there's a reward for taking the risk, right? The reason I said I have to do this is because why else? And I want you guys to ask the same questions. Why would you have the visions that you had as a kid? Why would you spend your whole life thinking about a subject or doing anything? And for me, that's always been music. That's always been this, really. Why would you spend for me as a musician, I've spent my whole life dedicated to music. I've spent everything dedicated to music. Why would I have these visions? Why would I have this for it to just not be a part of my future? If you're an artist, why would you as a kid use art to escape this world, to express yourself, to, get you through the hard times? Why would you do all of that just to throw it away as an adult, to not actually have that as a part of your future? Why? Why would you have those premonitions? Why would you have those dreams? Why would you learn the things that you learn if it wasn't a part of your future? You've got to, it is, as an adult, it is so easy to not listen to your soul and what your inner child wants. And it's just it's a fucking shame. It really is. Most of you guys would really benefit from being a kid again and channeling that inner child. And sometimes channeling that inner child looks like actually living your purpose, actually doing the things that, I know I just contradicted myself there, but actually doing the thing that literally sets your fucking soul on fire. Ask yourself that question. What are the things that make you feel high? What is the thing that makes you feel alive? That only you and you only can put your greatest gifts into. Can you monetize your creativity? Can you find a creative outlet with your work? Being an artist, maybe you're not going to be Van Gogh, which, Van Gogh wasn't even a successful artist. Again, what was Van Gogh's purpose? Imagine being him. Imagine literally having to burn your work that would be worth millions of dollars in the future and that would literally inspire millions of other artists throughout history and culture. And you're literally known for, not even being successful when you're alive. What was Van Gogh's purpose when he was alive? What was it? Was there one? Wasn't his decision. No one can teach you No one has to teach you your opinions. You make them up for yourself. No one has to teach you what you love. No one is going to show you or teach you what your purpose is. It is inside of you already. And when I say purpose, I say that in a very nuanced meaning. You're not in control of this, but I think your purpose has something to deal with listening to what that voice inside you says. Not what your parents say, not what the college says, not what societal pressure says, what you say. Think for your fucking goddamn self and listen to your fucking self. Listen to your heart, because again, those people that you want to impress, your friends, your parents, guess what? This is what I tell a lot of, I know kids that are getting into college and they want to do it to impress their family. I'm like, well, guess what? You're going to get this degree and you think you're going to make your parents happy. Well, guess what? They're still going to be disappointed in you. And then guess what? You're going to be working a job 20 years in and you're only doing it because your parents said, and then your parents are going to die. And then you got to deal with the fact that, oh, I just did all of this stuff for my parent who is now dead and I still have to live this life. Is that what you want? Fuck your parents. Fuck your friends. Like, they're going to die. They're not going to be here. They're not even going to be your friends all the way. Listen to yourself, because guess what? That's who you got when you're on the grave. That's what you're at when you're at your last end. What are you going to think about when you die? I mean, I'm sure this isn't going to be the only thing you think about, but this is where it comes down to. And this is what it's for me. You know, it hasn't been like, oh, I want to live my dreams and purpose because maybe it'd be fun. For me, it's like, it's a life or death fucking thing. I have to do this because me as a bitter old man and just bringing the negativity to the world that I know I can bring, that's a taker. That's so fucking selfish of me, you know? Or I could be a giver and actually do the thing energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. Are you taking energy from people or are you giving them energy? I hope I'm giving you guys energy right now because I'm on fucking fire right now. Because this is the shit I love talking about. And this is, I've tried to make this episode 3 times. This has been a very difficult thing for me to talk about. But here I am doing it anyway. One of the biggest things that I love to tell people is no fear and do it anyway. Know that you are scared. Don't listen, know that you are scared and do it anyway. Do it anyway. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a pussy. Do it anyway. Man the fuck up. I don't give a fuck what your gender identity is. Man, woman, they, them. Man the fuck up. Channel that inner masculinity. Man the fuck up. Take care of what you got to take care of. And you know what that looks like? Being yourself. I judge everyone through the lens of a man. And whether you're a woman, trans, you're whatever the fuck you identify with in this society, all we think about when it comes to masculinity is toxic masculinity. And this is something I will do an episode about one day. But what being a man really is about, I almost made a tweet the other day of, being a man is just having a tape measure on you at all times. But being a man is living your truth. Live your fucking truth. Like, don't be a bitch about it. Truly. Don't. So another point I want to make about this is ask yourself, what circumstances can you set up for yourself to unlock that potential? For me, I couldn't unlock my potential by doing astrology full time without any, online presence, or at the time back in 2018, I think I had like 3,000 subscribers on YouTube and not enough on Twitter to do it full time. But I found the circumstances that could give me that benefit to unlock that truest potential. And I want you to figure it out for yourself. Truly. You're a creative person. You're a smart person. Especially if you live here in America and you gotta fucking survive. In my opinion, living like your dream is a survival thing. Doing the thing that's inside your soul, that's a survival thing. Sure, you could play, again, for a lot of people, having the security, and again, too, I'm not saying, I want to reiterate, separating your second house and your 6th house and your 10th house. Make sure your money's taken care of. You're going to have, and maybe your work is different from your legacy. I know more people that are, and this is what Mike Rose said. That one guy, he went to psychology school for all these years, did it for 20 years and did everything to own a septic business because that's what needed to be done. And as a content creator, and all my entrepreneurs will know this, and if you don't know this as an entrepreneur, let me help you make your life easier. Literally, this is business 101. Find the need, fulfill the need. What do the people need? Take care of the needs. Then you could do the wants later. What do people need? Fulfill that need. Be creative. Figure it out. The biggest thing though is, of course, you're going to have pitfalls every corner you turn. Everyone's going to tell you no. Just shut them out. Just stop listening to them. Figure it out anyway. Whatever that looks like. Again, maybe you're a welder. Maybe you're a mechanic and you really want to be an artist. Again, you can, take that jump and quit your mechanic job to try to do art full time, which sounds like putting a bullet in your skull. Or you can stay a mechanic and then pursue art at a level in which is comfortable for you. But there's so many people in this life that go, I either have to live my dreams or I don't do anything at all. And it's like, you can do both at the same time. What's that girl saying in the taco commercial? Donde, I don't know my Spanish. But be creative. Figure it out. Don't worry about what your parents think. Don't worry about what everyone has to say about you. You got to grapple with the question of, who do you live your life for? Are you living your life for someone that's not going to be in your life forever? Which is everyone, ding, 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 even your spouse? Or are you going to live for yourself? Living, and how much more could you give to people if you were happy? If you are fucking miserable and you are telling yourself no to your dreams, who are you taking away from? How many of you got kids that you don't even interact with because you're too depressed about your life? Because you're not living your dreams, because your parents told you no or whatever. You're a fucking taker. Sorry, but who are you living your life for? And that sounds selfish, but it's not. Because who could you be if you were living a life that you wanted? How much more could you give to your kids? How much could you give to your family? How much could you give to your community if you were doing the thing that set your soul on fire and you woke up every day excited to do what you do? What could change in your life and the people around you if you woke up every day doing what you wanted to do and not what you felt like you were forced to do? What could actually change? And a lot of people think that they're not in control of their own lives. Well, guess what? If you're not in control of your life, someone else is going to take control over it. And that is your decision to take control of your life. And I get it. Not everyone is in a privileged position to do all of these things at once. And not everyone's in the privileged position to do all of these things all at once. I'm not saying that you've got to do all these things all at once and that this is how it has to be. But again, you have your own circumstances you were born into. You have your own bullshit problems that you get to deal with. But you also have your own privileges that no other person has. You also have your own benefits and your own connects that other people don't have. Figure it out for yourself. Everyone else has. I'm a big rap fan, and because rap, by the way, is literally just one of the most positive reinforcement affirmations, depending on the artist you listen to. Currency is one of my favorite rappers, and he makes a point. What does he say? It's something along the lines of, he's talking about the music industry, but he's like, the game is fair, but it's super cold. And pretty much what he's trying to get across is like, if you want to be successful, you can do it, but it's cutthroat. Figure it out. Now, here's a whole nother tidbit too, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and I literally want to read what I wrote here. The internet is a tool beyond our little tiny monkey brains that can comprehend. Learn how to leverage this tool. I don't care. I've literally had to bully my sister. By the way, my sister just started a podcast about sobriety. If any of you guys are interested in that, if you are struggling with an addiction and you don't want to go to an AA and you don't want to change anything, you just maybe want to hear some advice, check out my sister's podcast. It's called Suddenly Sober. She's also on YouTube, Brianna White. I gotta plug her because she's my sister and I love her. my sister has had a lot of insecurities around technology, which is super funny. She taught me how to code my own MySpace page back when we were like 12. And, as an adult, she gets totally nervous and breaks down around technology. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way. This is a hard thing to keep up with, and it isn't easy. But you've got to learn to leverage this tool in the future. It is truly a tool that could change your life. The internet changed my life. It's changed millions of other people's lives too. Leverage this tool while you can. While it's still here. This free education on YouTube is not going to be here forever. It's not. A vast majority of knowledge online is free. Learn what you can now while it is free. Like, you truly don't even need to call. Like, I'm like literally, there's been a few times where I've been feeling like I need to get a lawyer, and I was literally watching like this lawyer on YouTube talk about it. He's like, yeah, really, you could learn pretty much a lot of law stuff just from YouTube, and a lot of lawyers, it's like literally also like employment for lawyers is dropping because also a lot of people are defending themselves by just Googling shit. Knowledge is fucking power. You can have the knowledge and not know how to use it, but you got to also use the knowledge. The utilization of the knowledge is the power. There's a quote that I also had from that, but I forgot how it goes, so I won't say it. But anyway, do what you got to do now to get where you want to be. Here's the other thing too is recognize that you are an individual, separate from your creations, separate from your past, separate from your work, separate from your legacy, separate from your possessions, separate from your material wealth, separate from your economic, your class, your race, your every label people want to give you. You are an individual above and beyond all. This is why we're in astrology, because astrology is the most radical form of individualism there is. Because guess what? You are a unique individual. And I don't give a fuck what society says, because a lot of people think that radical individualism is bullshit. Well, guess what? It actually all comes down to individual actions. Like, a lot of people think, this is kind of getting into a lot of political stuff, but for example, like, fascism actually comes from fasciso, which is about a bundle of sticks being tied together. The idea of communism is like there's strength in numbers, right? Whether you agree or disagree with that, that's a different story. But what I want to talk about is how strong is let's say a bridge. I made a toothpick bridge in science class one time, and I killed it. The only reason it broke was because literally they put so much weight on the ruler snapped and destroyed my bridge, which I could have been a fucking architect or engineer. But anyway, if you're going to make a toothpick bridge, maybe you did that in science class. Maybe you didn't. If you don't know, in science, they give you like 100 toothpicks to figure out how to build a bridge and handle the physics, handle a certain weight density. If every single one of those toothpicks are broken, it doesn't matter how many there are together. They're not going to hold up stuff. Every toothpick, every stick, every bundle of sticks, each one of those individual sticks needs to be strong on their own. Maybe there is a broken one. Maybe there is a busted one. But you can't rely on everyone else to be strong for you. You need to be strong for yourself. And astrology, again, is the most radical form of individualism. And you need to understand yourself as an individual in order to separate yourself from what society tells you. And I know that for not everyone, again, I'm a white man. I've had a completely different experience of the world than a lot of people have. And I'm very aware of these differences. But here I am still telling you it anyway. Because guess what? I don't think anyone else is going to tell you this. A lot of people want to tell you that your race, your class, your past defines you. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Not in this world anymore. It affects you. Oh yeah, it affects you. And you're going to have to overcome a lot of challenges. Life ain't fucking easy. But it doesn't define you. You're an individual above anything else. Recognize that you're an individual separate from your creation, separate from your work, separate from your legacy. Maybe your legacy is horrible. Maybe everyone hates you. That's not you, though. That's just how people see you. You're an individual before anything else, before your legacy. And you need to recognize that. And once you accept that, I think a lot of this shit becomes easier. Also recognize that money is simply a tool. It's simply possession. Money is a tool. It's not a measure of self-worth. And you're talking to someone who have had a lot of self-worth issues around money. It is not easy to feel worthy when I have to go to the east side to donate my plasma for $40 to feed myself. It's really easy to feel like I'm worthless. And it's still something I struggle with every single day. We live in a capitalistic society where we're told our value and our worth is based off of our money and our income. It's not. And this is something that I struggle with every single day. I know every one of you guys, there's probably 5 people that may be listening to this that don't struggle with it. But it's not a measure of self-worth or inherent value of the self. So don't think that you're not valuable because you don't have money or whatever, right? And you're going to have to take your own journey with that. You're going to have to walk your own path on that one. But what I want to bring up is money is valuable. So it can only be created by creating value. What Mike Rowe said, certain jobs need to get done. And as they say in Show Piz, give the people what they want. If you want to make money, do what has to be done. There's money out there to be made. But money is valuable, and in order to extrapolate that and put that money in your pocket, you have to create value. And you can create value out of thin fucking air. Truly, you can. You can just lie. There's people that literally lie about the value, like all of the consumerist products that we're brainwashed to thinking are going to help better our lives. It's all just a waste of plastic. It's all just a waste of money and shipping and fuel and all that other stuff. But it puts a little bit of value into people's lives. It's the same thing. It's why you see TikTokers blow up, is because they might not be doing anything, but they're creating value because people need entertainment. People need to have some fun, and that is valuable to people, and they'll pay for that. Find a way to create value, because that's the only way. As a YouTuber, I've had to stop doing videos that I want to do, and I've had to start doing videos and talk about topics that people want to hear about, because that's what it's not valuable for me to just talk about how I feel or, things that, don't matter. What is valuable is, what people are willing to pay for. And you got to give the people what you want. You've got to be able to find a way to create value. Money is valuable. Figure out a way of creating value. Recognize your creative abilities. You may not be an artist. You may not be a poet. You may not even be whatever. You might just think that you're just a dumb person. A lot of you actually think that, which is really fucking sad because you're not dumb. You're really fucking smart. You're watching me. But recognize your creative abilities. You are creative. You can find solutions, and and only you and only you can do the creative work that you can, right? No one's going to have that the experiences that you have and the education that you have that can be all brought together to create something valuable. But separate your work from your labor, from your routines, and separate that from your legacy and your income. The work that you do isn't always going to match the net worth or income you've made, nor will it accurately reflect your legacy, career, or title. I want to repeat that. I'm going to read this, a little bit of a botched sentence. Recognize your creative abilities, but also separate the work, labor, and routines that you face and do every day from your legacy and your income. Separate your work from your legacy and income. As a YouTuber, you guys are just seeing a very polished, finished video of me talking about astrology. You're not seeing the research I do into this. You're not seeing how many hours of YouTube videos I've had to watch just to learn how to fucking plug in a goddamn camera and a fucking microphone into my computer. There's a lot more work than you guys might actually think it is. And the amount of work that you put in isn't always going to be, think of investment. You can give someone $5 million for business investment and it goes away like that. And you just lost all that money. And some people can literally just do one little thing and all of a sudden create millions of dollars. The work that you do does not actually value or does not actually, unless you're working hourly, which I would suggest, trying to find, of course, this is the 21st century, have multiple types of incomes. But what you do every single day, and it doesn't matter how much effort you put into something. If you work really, really, really hard, you could still make zero money. I'm just going to repeat, ancient wisdom here. Work smarter, not harder. That's really the only way around this. That's not to say to work hard. I truly think you should work hard. You should give everything your fucking all. You should give life your all. You should give your loved ones your all. Stop taking away from people. And I also think not working hard, and that's not to say to not be lazy. I think, I made a tweet that a lot of people got mad at because I said, on Twitter, everyone was tweeting, I don't dream of labor. And I was like, I said, for a lot of you that don't dream of labor, a lot of you never really put in a hard day's worth of work in your life. And of course, I got called all types of things for that. But it's true. There's a lot of people that have had literally everything handed and they don't actually work hard. They don't actually understand the value of that hard work and what it takes. And some people think that I don't know that. But fuck them. I do. What you do and the work that you do isn't always going to match your net worth or the income that you've made, nor will it accurately reflect your legacy, your career, or your title. The sixth house is simply the labor that goes unseen. For example, healthy people. When you see someone who's really hot and really fit, you don't see how many times they have to say no to going out, how many meals they have to say no to, the dedication it is to work, to wake up, to work out, to put in that labor. You don't see that. And also, too, it's the same thing on The Biggest Loser, which is just such a fucked up show. Just to exploit fat people like that is just, those producers should get their throats slit. But you can see these people as something. You know why there's not a reunion of The Biggest Loser? It's because a lot of those people gain that weight back. Because it doesn't matter how much work you put into it. You know what I mean? Like you could work really, really hard, but for example, with nutrition and diet, like if you're not eating the right things, if you're not sleeping on time, if you're not doing other things, like you can work really, 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 really hard, and you can still not get the results you're looking for. So it's going to take some minute, and sometimes you're going to work harder for less, and you're going to work less for more. It's a fucked up world. I wish I had that part figured out, but I don't. So the only thing I could say here is stop thinking that, just because you're going to work hard, that doesn't mean you're going to get the value from it. I'm telling you should work hard because there's value in that. There's value in giving things your all. And that's not for, sure, that might be able to be created monetarily, but the value is in yourself. When you give something your 100%, even if you fail, it's still okay because you succeeded, because you gave it your all. Now, if you gave something half-assed and then you failed, well, it's easy to just go, oh, well, I'm not good enough. For your 10th house, what time are we at? Hour and a half. For your 10th house, your career, your public image, your legacy, how the world sees you, you're not always in control of these topics like you are the other houses. When we think of a birth chart, we have the horizon line, and we have what is below the horizon, and we have what is above the horizon. The first house is your body and yourself. Not always in control. You don't have control over it. You only have so much control in your life, right? A lot of things are out of your control, and that's why we get into astrology, because we've realized that. But the first house, you have some control over what you look like. Your second house of money, you've got control over the money that you can make. Third house, you don't really have control over your neighbors all the time. You could choose where you want to live. Same thing with the fourth house. Same thing with the fifth house. Same thing with the sixth house. But the 10th house is, you can be the greatest person in the world. I talked about this in my weekly. Jesus was not perceived all that well by people. He was not very popular. That's a 10th house thing. Maybe he had Mars in the 10th house. Regardless if you believe in Jesus or not, just use him as an example. If he was this great guy changing people's lives, but the public perceived him as something evil or bad, he didn't have control over that. It's how everyone else sees you. The 10th house is how everyone else sees you, and that's not in your control. But recognize the impact that you leave on this world. Recognize that the impact you leave on this world isn't always your choice, and that it's separate from the income that you make in the work that you do. What is your legacy? Will you be kind? Will you be just? Will you be there when people need you? Will you handle your business? I look at it as you're not always going to have control. You could literally be Jesus Christ, and the Romans will still persecute you and still put you on a cross. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try, though. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a good person and live with integrity. That's to say that you shouldn't be integral with everything that you do. But your 10th house is how people see you. Your 10th house is your legacy. It's not what you do every day. It's not how you make your money. It really isn't. It might be your career. And, again, I do this for a profession. I've looked at people's charts and it's like, okay, you got, Mars in the 10th house and you're, a competitor of some sort, right? Or maybe you've got Mercury in the 10th house and you're a speaker of some sort. It's not to say that you can't find that there, but the reason I'm doing this whole episode is because we're talking about purpose. I'm not talking about what jobs are good for you and your sign. Fuck that. Fuck that bullshit. Fuck all of these fucking books that say that shit, because guess what? You can't be, they don't talk about what transits make you a good YouTuber. They don't talk about what aspects are going to make you, successful in OnlyFans. There's no transit here that's going to tell you that, that you can just finesse on the internet, that you can do drop shipping. There's nothing that says that. This is much more complicated. Back then, you could be a farmer, a blacksmith, a carpenter, or die. Those are your options. So, of course, they can give you ideas of what your legacy and what your purpose is and what you do. But that's not how life works in the 21st century. Do you really think, don't get me wrong, in my chart, like pets and animals shows up a lot. Like literally my midheaven ruler is literally in my 6th house. So and I've worked with pets before. But is that my fucking purpose? Is that my reason I'm here? No. Where you're going to naturally grow into is your 10th house. Let's say, for example, you do one type of work your whole life, and the 10th house is, again, like let's say you're a teacher your whole life, but then you're also an artist, and you tell people that you're an artist, and that's how you want people to see you. Yeah, sure, you're a teacher. Who gives a fuck about that job, though? You are an artist. You put that out there. When you listen to your soul, and when you listen to yourself and you listen to that voice inside of you, that's what your legacy is. That is how you grow into your 10th house, is by listening to that. And again, a lot of this stuff is, you guys might listen to this or you guys might be in this position of thinking, oh, I'm not living my purpose. I'm not doing the thing you're going to do. This shit's fate, baby. It ain't up to you. But you can accept your fate or you can deny your fate. I'm agnostic about that opinion, because life is fucking difficult and we're all humans and we're all going to have different experiences, and, to each their own. But where you grow, you listening to yourself, listening to that voice is going to help you grow into what that 10th house is. Maybe you got Venus and Jupiter in the 10th house and you're unemployed though. You're like, how do I get there? Just keep doing your thing. Don't worry about this moment. Worry about your soul. Worry about when you die. How are you going to feel? And again, I want to bring this up. Let's say you're a welder and you're an artist. You could put your art out there and you can continue to, in fact, I'm going to see if I can remember this guy's story. In one of Cal Newport's books, I'm looking at my bookshelf over here. I think it is in So Good They Can't Ignore You. He uses an example of a man who, I forgot what he actually did. Like he was like a doctor, or I think he was an artist, but he opened up a motorcycle mechanic shop. That's what he liked to do. And he still was really big in the whatever, I forgot what the story is, and maybe someone knows what this is. Comment below if you know. He was big in this one area, but he liked working on motorcycles. That's what, I look at that as that's his 6th house. Sure, people see him as this, but what he actually, or George Bush, for example, fuck the guy, but, he's this artist. And that's what he likes to do. He's this little Cancer that likes to make art, even though he's this warmongering, literal fucking piece of shit person, but he's an artist. Like, that's the best discrepancy you can make right there. What you do every single day, what you're known for, is not what you want to do. And you can, another example is Hunter Biden. you can. George Bush is happy by making art, but of course he didn't make a career doing that. And I think maybe that wasn't his purpose. Art wasn't his. Hitler's purpose wasn't art either, right? Can we say that? But he still, this is why I bring up George Bush, because he still did it anyway. And I think if you really want to enjoy what you want to do, like I think you should make your money. You should have your second and your sixth house. Once your money, if you can't make money doing the thing that you want to do, find a way to make money and cover your bases so you can do the thing that you want to do. So you don't have to worry about that. And you can give more to people when you're not stressed about money. When you're not stressed about just living in fucking society, you can actually give to people. Sure, you may not have all the time in the world that you want for the thing that you want to do, but you can actually give from your heart. And that is how you actually create the fucking value in the first place. Now, once you figure out an income that takes care of you, because again, we have live in the world, you got to make that money. Second house. I'm going to go over all these points again. And how you make money is going to look different. One day you're going to retire. And then one day, maybe maybe your career was your identity your whole life. You're going to retire one day, and guess what? Everything that you've built up your whole life, down the drain. You're going to have a whole reawakening and have a whole identity crisis. Figure out your income. Figure out your money. Sometimes, some people that's stock. Some people get divorced and an alimony. Some people get a workman's comp and get a ton of money that can give them the safety and the assurance to, do other things in their life. However that is, what that looks like for you. Take care of your money first. And then let's go to that sixth house. This is something I might do a whole nother episode about because I'm currently I am under a huge health and fitness journey right now in my life. I've lost almost 40 pounds since December. I have completely changed my diet. I've completely changed a lot of the things that I put in and on my body. And so maybe one day I'll be able to have more, stories to talk about with this, but find a winning routine, work habits, and a schedule that allows you to make the money that you need, but to also have the time to spend on your craft. If you're working 80 hours a week and you only have time for work and you're not giving time for your family, you're not giving time to your hobbies, you are taking away from yourself and you're taking away from your employer. Like literally, if you are not getting the extra shit out of your system, you are not going to perform in your work the way that you need to. It's so important. It's not about, you need a hobby or you need a craft to have fun. You will literally perform better in every area of your life if you are doing something that you actually want to fucking do. It comes back down to, are you a giver or are you a taker? And while you might think that you're giving by putting 80 hours a week and killing yourself over something, you're actually taking away from the people that actually matter the most. Find a winning routine. And I say winning because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, scheduled and routine out. Find something that creates success for you. And success is subjective. That doesn't always look like, being super famous or having a ton of money. Success is subjective, and I cannot stress that enough. Maybe you've thought this whole time I was talking about, you have to be super famous or rich on whatever it is that you do in order to be successful. That's not true. Success is subjective, and also you should define success for yourself. Challenge yourself if you've never done this before, because again, I can't reiterate enough on thinking for yourself. Define success for yourself, because that's what matters. Again, you're the one who's dying. You're the one who's going to be by yourself dying. Define it by yourself. Get good working habits. If you literally have shitty habits, you're going to have a shitty life. I can't stress that enough. And I'm not a perfect person. I'm so far away from that. And right now for me in my personal life, I have completely changed a lot of my habits, and I'm still working on that because I have noticed how much that has changed every part of my life. And again, for some people, they'll still have their day jobs even though they live their dream. I had an example of this not that long ago. I forgot who the guy was. I forgot what he even did. But you can still live your purpose and live your dream and have a day job just to do something every day. I've literally thought about, as an astrologer, I'm not going to lie, and I've thought about making an episode about this too. It was not an easy year to be an astrologer. It's 2020. I was very busy with clients, which I'm so grateful for. And it was so amazing to hold that space for people. But I was in a new city by myself, living alone, working from home, all under my own management. And then my work was literally talking to people about the existential dread of life in society crumbling. That's a lot to take on every single day. And I thought about getting a day job just to get me out of the fucking house, just to meet people. This is a very isolating job. Astrology is a very isolating practice. I've thought about doing it. I haven't. But some people do that. And I want to close this with just be open to what your purpose can be. It changes from day to day. It changes from minute to minute at times. I think, though, if you want the consistency and if you want to live that purpose, no matter what it is, I think, it comes back down to the chart too. Listen to your intuition. Listen to yourself. Trust your gut instincts. I don't want to say don't tell yourself no, because I think, you don't need to say yes to everything, but stop telling your inner child no. Stop telling your, anything no. And here's the thing, and this is really where I want to close on. There are risks and there are rewards in life. And you're going to have to take some risks, because guess what? And this is where I coach a lot of my clients from. You might think getting a job is the safe bet. It's not. You can get fired any moment. Your 401k can go down the fucking drain. My dad played it safe, and he lost almost everything during the 2008 crash. We lost our health insurance. He lost half of his retirement. We lost our house. And he had 20 years in the fire department at that point. Lost a lot of things. There is no safe road. Even being a farmer isn't safe. Like, a lot of you guys think that you're going to go into hippie communes. You've never grown a plant in your life. Never once toiled, got into soil. Never once had to do any of that stuff. And you think you're going to be successful at farming, especially with other people who say they're going to be farmers in a commune. There's so much risk to that. There's risk and there's reward, and everything is risky, but we are fed a lie and we are fed a facade that jobs and companies are safe. They're not. Nothing is safe in this world, but you've got to ask yourself, what risks are worth what rewards? I took a lot of risks doing this work on my own. And this is not my pinnacle. I'm only 25 years old. I have bigger dreams to accomplish. I have other things to do. But I took a lot of risks to get where I'm at right now. And the rewards I've received for those, that reward being freedom, like I said, it's not like I make a ton of money. Some months I'm doing okay. Some months it's a little bit of a challenge. I also run everything. I'm my own boss. I have to motivate myself to do everything. And everything is hard. Everything's going to be challenging. But you've got to ask yourself, is the risk of putting a bet on a company or a safe position worth the reward of that? Or is the risk of trusting yourself and the risk of, changing everything for the reward of, living your dream and doing what gets you high? What's worth that? And I want to leave you guys with that thought. What risks are you willing to take for what rewards? And again, some of you've got families. Some of you can't just, quit your jobs and live your purpose, which I'm telling you this whole fucking episode. This is one thing out of this whole episode. Don't do that. But what is the risk of telling yourself no to your dreams? What is the reward for telling yourself no to your dreams? What is the risk that you run, even on a health level? When you truly, my dad died of cancer, and there's a lot of reasons why he got cancer. But I think a big reason why he died from it is because or at least why, before he got diagnosed, he went through a lot of stresses, and he told himself no, and he was very he bottled up a lot of things, didn't actually express a lot of stuff like that, and that literally will kill you. You telling yourself no and repressing your feelings will kill you. What is the risk of telling yourself no and at least not giving a shot? That's why I moved to LA. I also thought at the time that moving to LA, because I want to be a musician, right? Like I've expressed to you guys. I thought that meant moving to LA, and I knew that if I didn't at least try to move to LA, that I would regret, because I would never do it. And I moved to LA. I don't want to say I regret it. I learned a lot there, but I learned that it wasn't for me. And there was a big risk with that. And I got some rewards from it, but I also took a lot of L's. I have failed a lot in my life. I failed living in Los Angeles, but also fuck living in LA. What is the risk of not doing this stuff? And what is the reward for not? What do you even get for telling yourself no to your dreams? Or at least just even trying? Why don't you just at least try? Give it your all. And then, if you give it 100% and it still can't happen, hey, you gave it your all. That's not to say you can't find happiness. That's not to say that you still can't do it. But again, what is the risk that you run telling yourself no right off the bat? And again, to wrap this up, I called this episode Finding Your Purpose in Astrology. Finding your purpose with astrology. You're not going to. Sure, you can find out what jobs might work for you. And you're going to find, with astrology too, you're going to find out what you end up doing with your life. Like there's so many options for that. But I want you guys to stop looking at it like that. I want you guys to stop going to astrology like, what's my purpose? You can have an astrologer help you guide you through your chart, but you know what your purpose is. Or I don't want to say you know what your purpose is. I'm not here to tell you what your purpose is. No one else is here to tell you what your purpose is. That's subjective on an individual level with everybody's experience of you. But what people think when they say, what is my purpose? What they actually are trying to ask is, what am I supposed to do with my life? What is my destiny? What is my fate? What am I supposed to be doing to make money? What am I supposed to do that's going to actually make me happy? Those are the questions you should be asking. Stop asking what your purpose is. Shut up. You ain't going to figure it out. And no one's going to tell you what it is. In fact, I take that back. People will tell you what it is, but they're charlatans. Don't listen to them. You don't know what your purpose is. All that you can do is live your life. And the only thing you can do is live from your soul. And the more you live from that, that's how you're going to get in alignment with your purpose. Because if you're not doing what you want to do, you're not going to live your purpose. That's for sure. If you are telling yourself no to every little dream you've ever had, you're definitely not going to live your purpose that way. You're not going to live your purpose if you're not giving, if you're not 100% with your family or your friends or your kids. Give it your fucking all. So this is a really long episode and a really emotional episode for me. I can't believe I got through this one take. I really am, again, I can't express my gratitude enough for everyone who's listened to this, who's made it all the way this far, and just being able to do this. I really hope, I try to keep it real. I try to keep it 100% real with you guys. And that's not always easy when you're putting your full authentic self online for thousands of people to judge you all the time. But I do it because I'm not a hypocrite, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to live your life and not take the same advice. So I'm really grateful for you guys, and I really hope you can take something from this episode. I don't know what it's going to be, but I hope you do take something from it, because I'm trying to give you guys something here. So with that being said, I guess I'll see you next episode, guys. See ya.